Talk Pickle To Me. How was that? Your turn.
What's your DUPR? I like even better. How big is your DUPR?
That's even better.
What's the size of your DUPR?
Huge.
I could keep going on. I could keep going on. Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Talk Pickle To Me, a pickleball podcast where we create conversations with some of the leading brains in the sport. I'm your host, Pickleball Chick. This is the second episode of the series of the 10 most influential women in pickleball. And I am so excited to have Sarah Carpenter here with us today. Sarah is the badass lead data scientist at DUPR, aka the person in charge of creating the algorithm for your DUPR rating. Sarah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. I can't believe that you're considering me to be in that top 10, but I am extremely honored. I'm definitely like top 10 nerdiest pickleball people. But, you know, hopefully I hope to be influential as well. And I take my job very seriously and want to, you know, do the best I can for all the pickle people out there. So thank you so much for having me, and congrats to you for doing this. This is exciting for you.
Thank you. Yes, I am excited. And the title of this series is the 10 most influential. Okay. A lot of people on my Instagram and people that have written, they have gotten that wrong. It's not like the 10 most popular. It's not the 10 most liked or the most well-known pros. It is the 10 most influential women in pickleball. And Sarah, you are one of the 10 most influential women in pickleball because of the millions of people that use the DUPR rating across the world that rely on this to get good games in their local communities, to have fair tournament play, and so much more. So don't ever put yourself down. You are an influential woman in pickleball, and I believe you are top 10.
Well, thank you, and same for you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get into it right from the start. Tell us a little bit about Sarah Carpenter's life growing up as a kid. Like, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? Did you play other sports growing up? And, you know, was academics a priority? Let me just say this. The first ever conversation I had with you after you DM'd me on Insta, like we just got on a Zoom and I instantly knew that you were smart. Okay, it's very obvious from talking to you. You are a brain, you're an academic, you enjoy learning. So I want to just dive kind of deep into that, what your childhood was like.
Well, thank you again. So I am from Oklahoma, Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm actually here right now, hence the buffalo in the background. So I grew up here. I went to college actually in Stillwater at Oklahoma State. So grew up in this college town. I love sports, but I definitely consider myself to be a greater mathlete than athlete for sure. The sports that I played were volleyball and golf. So I was like high school, played both of those. Even though I am like 5'7" and can jump like 2 inches, I pursued volleyball. Unfortunately, probably had I played more golf, I probably could have played at the college level, but I didn't do that. So went to college like a normal person, you know, studied math. I actually planned on being a math teacher. So literally like from first grade, I will never forget. I've loved math since then. Like we would play all those math games and I was just like extremely dominant at those. And then like 8th grade, such a teacher's pet, would stay after school on Fridays and like write the lesson plan on the board for next week, which was so embarrassing. Like I just knew all along, like I'm going to be a math teacher, maybe a coach too, but like I'm a math teacher. That's who I am. So I go to school, I'm studying to be a math teacher. And like I do the whole student teaching thing at high school, loved it, so much fun. But I'm like, you know, I think I still want to challenge myself more. I still want to learn more math. Somehow I was stupid enough to convince myself to go get my PhD. So I ended up at the University of North Carolina doing my PhD in pure math. I loved math. I think my love for math over the years, at least in the pure sense, has decreased a little bit. I now love using math to solve problems, which is what I'm getting to do in my job now. But a couple of years ago is when I met somebody who introduced me to get this job. And I was like, oh, this is a lot more fun than just doing math. So I'm actually still working on the darn PhD, hoping to finish this semester. Anyone who wants to send any like notes of encouragement, feel free. I'll take any and all help to get across that finish line. So then I can just be all in on on work life. So
that's incredible. We definitely had very different lifestyles and lives growing up. I feel like I loved academics, but was definitely all in on sports. And it's just amazing how so many people can get to different places in their life after they have like lived one way, right? Like you were such a dominant academic, and now you're getting to like combine two passions in sport and academia. So I think that's awesome. And congrats on getting your PhD. I know you're still at UNC getting that, right?
Yeah, still there. And I know that you're a Duke girl. So, we can agree to disagree there.
We have the better blue, or we could just agree on DUPR blue.
I know. I'm even kind of wearing it. Sometimes I walk around like wearing this, and somebody's like, "Are you wearing Duke?" I'm like, "I would never." It's DUPR. So
that's amazing. Okay, and how were you sort of introduced to pickleball?
So my pickleball story, I think, is similar to a lot of people in our generation. I play because of my dad. So my dad started playing first, and then, he was like, "You should play this sport with me." And, I was a little bit hesitant, I think, as a lot of people are. But what's cool and a little bit different about our story is our neighbor, Mr. George, came to my dad and he said, "Terry, there's this game called pickleball, and you need to put courts in the street." And my dad was like, "Okay." And now we still have 2 pickleball courts painted out in the street. And that's where I learned to play pickleball, was out on the street with my dad and Mr. George and all the neighbors. And that was actually back in 2019. So George was a little bit of an OG. And so at first I would only play like when I would come back to Stillwater for Christmas break, summer, all of that. I wasn't ready to like fully commit. And I was like playing with some, and my dad once told me, he said, "Sarah, you're never going to beat me at skinny singles." And Kaitlyn,
words.
That was the most motivating thing anyone has ever said to me in my life. And I think about it every morning when I get up. I'm just kidding. But I went back to Chapel Hill. I started playing with all the old people. They taught me what a drop is. They took me under their wing. In all seriousness, I'm so thankful like for pickleball and the way that you get to meet different people at different points, and the way that like people are so gracious and like are willing to pour into you. And it's just such a cool space. So they taught me how to play. I came back. I beat up on my dad and his friends now, which is really fun. But we played our first tournament together. Me and my dad literally played 3-5. So like I've worked up the ranks, did the 3-5, 4-0, 4-5. Finally made it to the 5-0. But it's been a fun journey for sure.
That's amazing. And yes, I feel like so many people learn it from their grandparents or their parents, and everyone kind of starts out on these humble beginnings of pickleball, going to the local courts, playing just pick-up games, essentially, drop-ins. So it's awesome how so many of us have found the sport. But the first time I actually met you, I didn't know I met you. And that was in Columbus, Ohio, MLP Columbus, back in October of 2022. You were playing in the DUPR Collegiate Nationals with UNC, and I was hosting my first ever MLP tournament. I didn't know you were there at the time, but I strictly remember Joe Braverman being there. I can't remember. Tito was there. Tito was there. Yep. Tito's the CEO of DUPR. And yeah, I remember those games going on like in between matches. And I remember like everyone that was watching MLP would like leave when the college kids came on. And I was like, I feel so bad for them. Someone stay and watch them. They're so passionate. You guys are like cheering and going so loud. And now there's so many teams competing at the collegiate level. But tell me a little bit about that experience in Columbus for you.
For sure. Yeah. So I knew you. I knew who you are. You had all the energy. And so this is actually a cool story. That right when we walked into Columbus, I swear, this is like one of the most vivid memories I have in all of pickleball. We walk in, we're standing on the corner of MLP in Columbus. Mary Brasha does her stupid merry-go-round shot. We're just standing there. And I'm like, that is the literal craziest pickleball shot I've ever seen in my whole life. And we were just standing there with our backpacks in the corner watching it. I will never forget that. It was like such a wild.
You saw the merry-go-round. That's an
We
OG.
saw it. And it was the first play that we saw in all of MLP. And I'm like, now I'm never going to see a better pickleball shot ever again in my life. So shout out to Mary for that.
Yes, that is a great story, and will go down in the history of one of the best shots ever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, competing at that, was that awesome, or was it kind of like, what did you feel in that moment?
So I think like that was a first step, right? So we get a call from DUPR. At the time, I'm extremely like familiar with DUPR, and Ben is like, hey, like you guys should come play an exhibition match at this MLP. And for us, it's like, okay, like what's the harm? We're free this weekend. Let's go. You know, it can't hurt. It can only help us, you know. So we go and we play. It's actually the team that we competed at in nationals in our second year. We were lucky enough to have Colin Schick on our team for both of those years. And we carried him through both of those years. So I was actually like, Colin got to go and play and that, which is pretty cool. He definitely was not the same Colin Schick that he is today, but definitely had some of his crazy shots and, was a lot of fun. So yeah, just like you said, it was actually pretty funny. It was like, everyone was there at the MLP watching. It's like this cool, you know, indoor spot in Columbus. And then like, it was like, all right, basically break time when we're playing. Like everyone's going and eating and like going to the bathroom or whatever. And it's like, well, we're just like playing pickleball. So it's like, I'm fine. Like, this is cool. Like we're getting streamed. It was probably our first time being streamed, you know, and since then it's come a long way. So that was actually just a month before nationals. Nationals was a month after that at Dreamland in Austin.
Right.
And so, that's actually hosted by DUPR. So this is a really cool place that I can highlight like what DUPR is doing. And they're doing an amazing job at the collegiate space, creating these opportunities for students. So that first year, I think there were 16 teams competing. Pretty small.
I watched it on live stream.
Did you? Let's go.
And Colin Schick was in it, and he was playing so well. It was like, I remember watching it like the whole time, and I'm like, I should just be there. Why didn't I go? Why didn't I go to watch?
The first year was honestly electric. It was in Austin. It was supposed to be warm. It was legitimately 30 degrees, and it was the most miserable thing ever. But like the energy was just like truly unmatched.
Yes, that's the difference.
It was awesome.
In college pickleball, and I don't know if you watch any of like the World Cup in Peru, but when you were, and that's why MLP is so different and amazing. It's because when you're part of a team, the energy and the passion and the love that you feel towards your teammates, it just, the energy is unmatched. And that's why I fell in love with MLP. That's why minor league pickleball is amazing. That's why college is amazing. So yeah, you could definitely feel it through the screen in that first year as well.
For sure. And what's so special also is like, you know, the teams actually are pretty similar to MLP teams. So it's typically composed of like two guys, 2 girls, can be 3 guys, 3 girls. But then you also have the opportunity to bring as many like athletes as you want to compete at the challenger level. So now we brought 26 people this year to nationals.
Wow.
Right. So we're rolling deep. Wow. And it goes a long way for just like having the energy, having the support. It's also just so fun for us to all be there together. But honestly, some of the top teams in college pickleball, like UNC, Virginia, like we have great, like just a whole program. And it goes so far in just like the overall success for the program. So
does that mean you guys are like training a bunch together as well? Like,
oh yeah. And we have fun doing it. Yeah. We practice 3 nights a week and we have a blast. So it's like, we want to be playing. The group me all the time. It's just like, anybody want to play today at 3? We need 1. So it's really special.
Where do you guys play? Do you have courts on campus?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. They actually just built, 2 brand new ones and like redid 3 others. So we have like 5 pickleball courts and then some lines on a couple others.
Amazing.
So,
okay.
It's great.
All right. So fast forward a little bit. You are now the lead data scientist at DUPR. And I believe the only senior woman at the company currently. But tell us exactly what that means. What does the lead data scientist mean?
Yeah, for sure. So before I get into that, I'll give like a quick shout out to like some of the women that have been a big part of DUPR and are currently a big part of DUPR also. So as you mentioned, Jill Braverman was a former CEO. And then Ann Worcester is a strategic advisor. She's been very helpful for us. She's also a strategic advisor from LP. And then Bobby Oshiro, I want to shout out Bobby. She's obviously a phenomenal player and even better person. And she also works with us at DUPR. She's such a great advocate for us. She helps us with our partnerships. And then this is a fun fact. Anna Bright used to work at DUPR. Did you know that?
I knew that. I reached out to her actually ahead of this and I was like, give me all the dirty laundry you know about DUPR so I can ask Sarah. And she was like, I don't actually know. And I'm like, you know, Anna.
That's so funny. I mean, I think at that point, Anna was just doing her job. You know, she's like, pickleball is more fun, but like I have a job, so I got to do my job. But it's actually cool because I talked like on a conversation with Anna when I was just like doing stuff for UNC College way before I was ever affiliated with DUPR. So I have some nice email threads with Anna. But then
two little nerds going at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to. We have some cool people also, even currently. We have like our director of operations is a woman, Julia, our director of marketing, Dia, our director of minor leagues and clubs, Caroline. So we're definitely like moving in the direction of getting like lots of women involved in all parts of the company, which is really cool.
Love that. Love that. Okay.
Okay.
Tell us what lead data scientist means.
Cool. So it really means that I'm in charge of the rating. Tito, who's our CEO, calls me the guardian of the rating. And it just means that we are creating this algorithm to provide a rating for every player in pickleball. So as a math person, I like to say it's really just a big math problem, right? Just like a lot bigger than most math problems. It's a function. It takes in something and it spits out something. Our input is matches, tons of matches. We have almost 5 million matches in our system.
How many users?
We are almost 1 million.
Okay.
So it takes in 5 million matches, spits out a rating for 1 million users. And so our goal is to optimize that math problem. How can we best give a rating to our 1 million users? Simple, right? Very simple. No, it's really not simple, especially for doubles, right? People think like, oh, well, you just need to do this and you just need to do this. And there are absolutely so many things that we are so aware of that we can improve, and we're continuing to improve every day. It's also really hard. And I love when people are patient and gentle and understanding that it's a hard problem. And we're still really pretty new. Even in tennis, with tennis ratings or like golf ratings, you're not having to work out this problem of doubles. Doubles actually really makes it hard because we don't have an eye on the court to see who's really controlling the match, who's attributing to the match in a positive or a negative way, right? So that the algorithm kind of has to make some assumptions. So, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the algorithm's like the biggest part that we do, and then I was going to share some other projects. So if you have a question on that, go ahead.
Have you guys ever thought of integrating with some sort of artificial intelligence function that could overlay onto games and then therefore could actually attribute certain misses or points to certain players? Is that potentially in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that is absolutely a direction that we should go. Is it going to be tomorrow? No.
Yeah.
Right. That's such a complicated thing, but does it seem like a good idea? Absolutely. So, we've actually already done some work with Real Clear Stats. I don't know, how familiar you are with Ben at Real Clear Stats.
First team to ever use them.
Let's go. We love data.
Yeah, we love data.
That. So we've worked with them in the pro space, and it's just cool because you can truly see every single thing that happens in a match. How many unforced errors were hit. I mean, you can actually look there who attributed what to the match. Yeah. Right. But what they're doing is, they're looking at it, and that takes them some time to get through it all.
It's manual. Right? Like we need AI. That's what I'm saying. Like PB Vision or something. I don't know who else is doing it, but.
Yeah. And I think for now they're doing it manual just to be so careful because that data is so valuable, right? People like you are, using it for things that matter for livelihood to some extent, right? But I totally agree. And I think that it makes so much sense to go in the direction of AI. And, even what I would say at the first level, what we'll do is we'll just provide those statistics, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of have to be careful and take steps towards what actually can talk to the algorithm. We have to be very sure before it can. But that doesn't say at first we can say, okay, let's collect this data and at least show you some advanced analytics. And then down the road, we start to incorporate that with the rating. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense. And you guys obviously have a bunch of different arms that touch different things. But in terms of the rating, who is DUPR's biggest competitor?
Well, no free shout outs, right? But I can definitely share like what sets us apart from our competitors.
But real quick, just so everyone knows, like I think there are different rating systems currently in the US and overseas. And to be honest with you, I am also a little bit confused, which is why I asked that question, because like when you first started in pickleball 4 years ago, everyone was if you wanted to play in Sanction tournaments, you had to basically have a USA Pickleball membership, which granted you like a rating, which would be helpful at Sanction tournaments. And I even forget there's so many different acronyms. It was I forget the acronym for it, but they're now with UTPR or something. So I assume that's your biggest competitor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, it used to be like USA Pickleballs, and then they've merged a little bit. So, the biggest difference is that what you were just describing is this notion of sanctioning. And with USA Pickleball in particular, it was only sanctioned, I believe you had to have refs there, right? Which is a pretty big undertaking for a tournament director. And even if not, you had to create that sanctioning for the tournament to count towards the rating. And right, so there's all these different organizations, governing bodies. There's all, it's all a mess, as we know. Our goal is to be as neutral as possible, work with as many people as will work with us, so that we can get all those match results in one place. It's a really big deal to have everyone's results in one place, rather than just, here's how you do when you're playing on this tour. Here's how you do when you're playing at this specific league. And so that's why we're working really hard at just building partnerships as far and wide as we can. Yeah. Another big thing that we do is we work with clubs. That's a huge part of our database, is club matches, right? That's and it's a really important group of pickleball players. We have our tournament players, we have our club players, some are both. But our average player is really still the club player, not necessarily the tournament player. So combining all those is important.
I talked to Tito, this was months ago, but I was asking him like what % of DUPR users, not DUPR users, what % of pickleball players in general are tournament players? Yeah. And it's something of the effect like 5%. It's something really, really small.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and to be honest, that's really like probably like a overall pickleball stat. That's not even necessarily like our stat, but we just know from the numbers that come out of how many people are playing pickleball every year, right? Yeah. Just like the news will publish that every year, and you probably know those numbers better than me, right? Yeah. And then we're aware of what we're getting, and we're aware of what we're getting, for example, from pickleball brackets. And we even looked recently, like, how does the pickleball brackets data like overlay with our club data? And it's actually not all the same people. It is truly not. We are reaching different people with clubs than we are with tournament. And that's great, right? Yeah. Everyone is using pickleball for what they want to use it for, which is pretty cool.
No, I think that's good. And I think like one thing that DUPR does extremely well is they form really great partnerships. And I think that's because DUPR sort of has this like young and lean team. So everyone's able to like move quickly, have quick conversations, think critically, and make a decision. And I think that a lot of times, and yes, it's a startup. It's, it's been for like 5 years, I want to say, or 4 years.
Yeah, let's say 4.
4 years. And so I love that. I love that about DUPR. I think, remaining neutral is definitely difficult in this day and age in pickleball. Yeah. I'm a Major League Pickleball team owner, which means I own, I think, a very tiny part of DUPR, a very tiny part of the leagues. Okay. Obviously, DUPR's relationship with, they're definitely tied into MLP and PPA or UPA. And so, recently it came out, I think, that APP's matches are no longer going to be logged into DUPR. That actually just like hurts everybody. And they're obviously going a different way with UTPR, but I think there needs to be one central rating system, and DUPR right now is in the lead. And so I hope DUPR continues to thrive, and I think they will. I was in India this year, and it's definitely like the leading rating system overseas, or it seems to be from my perspective. Everywhere I've been, people have DUPRs, people care about their DUPRs. And that's one thing I was going to say about you, like you've done some YouTube videos with DUPR, but you're kind of like, you're coming out and being like, I am the woman of DUPR because of me. And like,
this is my coming out party for sure. Yeah, I'm a little scared. A lot of people, I know not everyone likes me, but I promise I'm trying to do the best I can always. So
I was going to say, like, it's kind of like when you're a detective or like an undercover cop, like people don't have, I actually looked up your LinkedIn profile, and because you're like super nerdy, because you're super nerdy and like whatever, I thought LinkedIn would be your kind of like social of choice, and like you don't have anything on there. And I'm like, she's undercover. She doesn't want people harassing her, which is right. Like, don't harass
I just
Sarah,
added it. I just added it to my Thank you, Kaitlyn. I just added it to my profile on Instagram this week at DUPR PB. That was a big step for me. I didn't even have one before, so that's a big step. No, I am so proud of DUPR. And that would never be why why I don't have it there. And I love talking to people. I love to go to PPAs and any tournament that I can.
Yeah.
I wear this sweatshirt everywhere I go. People are like, oh, DUPR. And some people are like, oh, DUPR. So I love having conversations with people at all levels. I'm a part of a club, a DUPR club, and I get to talk with the organizers. I get to talk with the users. I like to go to PPAs and like play a round or two of pro qualies and then just like hang out.
Love it.
And so I love to like talk with pros. It's actually really cool to just like see that we have an impact in that space. And, actually the pro space is something we've done a really good job on. And that's something that we are really working to spread that down to the rest of all of DUPR users. Just because there's so much connectivity there, the rating does what it's supposed to do there. And so, really that's kind of what we're working on is getting it to all the rest of the people. But yeah, have some patience. I promise we're working really hard, and we're going to continue to do what we can. And, we are so aware that we're not perfect right now. Yeah. So aware. And we are aware that other people are trying to do this too. Thankfully it is a hard problem, and we've been thinking about it now for 4 years, and we have so much data, right? We're so ahead in the game of data and users and all of that. Combining everything into one is a big deal. But what I do want everyone to know is like we do believe that we are leading the space, absolutely, but we're not just like, all right, now let's chill because we've made it, right? We are striving every day in every single part of our company to do everything we can to make pickleball better. So
love it. And I agree with you. I think you guys definitely are. You guys have not like sat down. It's always like, it's an ever changing, ever complex problem that is only going to get better and better with time, more data, more users, more adjustments to the algorithm. But let's throw a little bone out there, assuming this is the question that everybody wants to know. What is the fastest way to raise your DUPR? It seems that you kind of need to play better players to raise your DUPR. But right now, the algorithm's set up that when you lose, no matter what, like your rating is going down. So is there like a happy medium?
Yeah, well, like honestly, my favorite responses, right? So you go on Facebook all the time. And actually, I saw you were on Facebook forum getting some feedback from everyone.
90 comments when I asked people care about their DUPR.
People are in there. Yeah, people are always talking on the kitchen, pickleball forum, everything, talking about DUPR. And we keep a close eye on it because that's just free feedback for us. That's like really good data points for us. So, oops, I lost my train of thought.
Fastest way to raise your DUPR.
Okay. So then my favorite. Okay, so people will get on there and be like, "Oh, like I don't like DUPR because I'm going down." Blah, blah. And my favorite comments are always, "All right, well, it sounds like you need to get better." People always just go right at it. So I always laugh at that. In a way, it's true, right? You and what does getting better mean? It typically means winning. Okay, so in our algorithm, you hit the nail on the head. When you win, you go up, and when you lose, you go down. And the amount that you go up and the amount that you go down depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your match count and your recency of the matches and the score of the match, like the win intensity. If you win by a lot, you're going to go up more. Mm-hmm. But the big thing that you're kind of referring to is kind of that win expectancy piece. And so if you are expected to win the match, then when you win, you're not going to go up a ton because we already knew that you were better, right? But let's say you even play somebody at your own level, right? Let's say you're both 4-0s and you win. Well, now we're going to create this level of separation between you because at least based on this one match, this one small data point, you've shown that you were superior to that person. So we're going to move you. And it's going to be more than whenever you beat somebody you were supposed to. Lastly, if you are an underdog, you're playing somebody who's supposed to beat you and you win, we've now gained a lot of information. Right? It's like, oh, well, at least in this moment, in this one match, you performed better than them. We're going to move you up a lot to at least get you closer to them. It's not always like we're going to be like, oh, okay, from this one match, now let's just totally swap you places, right? Mm-hmm. You go to a tournament and you play, 8 matches in one day. So we have to, there's a happy medium there on like how much we want to move you every match. We want it to kind of be an average of your overall level. But that is how it works. So generally what I like to say is play at your level, right? That's kind of like what we're going for. Play people around your rating, and that gives you opportunity to go up. Mm-hmm. The people who are winning are going to be going up. The people who are losing are going to be going down. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you can really compete at a higher rating, go play it, okay? What do I mean by compete? I actually mean that you can win and lose, Okay. In this sport, in every sport, the objective is to be winning. You're a competitive person. I think that you would agree with that you're not going out there to score 5 points, right? You're going out there to win the thing. Yeah. And so we want players playing at a place that they can win. And so if you say, okay, right now I'm a 4, but I know that I'm at that same level as the 4-2-5s. I'm going to go and I'm going to start playing with them. And if you trade games, that does mean you're at that level. And the algorithm's going to get you up there to 4.25 to prove that. And you're going to move up more with the wins and down a little bit with the losses. But generally speaking, you don't want to just go and win a bunch of games against somebody that you're already better than, because first of all, you're sandbagging and you're rude. And second of all, it's not actually going to reward you that much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's there's so many questions that can come up off of that. I mean, the one that I've kind of debated with, and I think your last algorithm update was January of this year.
Yeah,
I believe you said.
Yeah, okay, January of 2024. Yep.
Okay, so the one big difference I think from that update to this new update was basically, let's say, for example, I play the Johns brothers, right? And they're expected to win by a lot. And our games are as tight as possible. Let's just say like 11-9, 9-11, 11-9. They win. But I played them as tight as possible, really close game.
Yep.
My DUPR still goes down in that scenario.
Yep.
In this new update. In the last update, my DUPR would probably have gone up because I was expected to lose more. So what was the reason for that algo update?
Yeah. So I'll actually take it back quite a ways, because I think that's the people who have been with us for a while all want to know the answer to that question. Yes. So we actually changed that in June of 2023. So that's actually been 1.5 years since we made that change. And the reason that we made that change is because that was in a time where not only you could go down with a win or up with a loss, but you were also moving when you weren't playing. Just according to connectivity. And there's big pros to that from an accuracy standpoint. From a transparency standpoint for the user, it was really tough to understand. Players go out on the court and they don't know what their objective is outside of just to win and score as many points as possible. To some extent, people kind of want to know what they have to do. Right now, to go up, you just need to win. But what if you really need to win 11-6 and now you only win 11-7? Well, now you're going to go down. There's a bit of transparency there that we should provide. And so when we made that original switch, it was truly a transparency decision. And now we're kind of working back towards, baby steps of building the accuracy back in. So then in January of 2024, we added some steps back in to make it smarter. Actually, in June of 2023, when we made the first change, we made it very transparent. We actually made it a very simple algorithm. It didn't actually care about how many matches you had, the recency of those, and so the score. It didn't care about the score at all. So then in January, we added a lot of things back in to make it smarter, but still kind of keep that same notion of winning and going up. So also, though, if I had a nickel for every time that somebody has hypothetically beat Ben Johns in a close match, I would be super rich, because everyone's done it in a hypothetical match. I swear.
No, that's very true. Like, the Ben Johns is taking it to the nth degree. Actually, my other friend Ben was the one that gave me that exact piece, and he's a very strategic, smart thinker. So it's no surprise that he's the one that brought that up. But I've seen it even in some of my own DUPR scenarios where I'm like, should I have gone down that much from losing to that? Vice versa. Exactly the Ben Johns situation, but just in my own world to a lesser degree.
100%.
And so I do think that is a good point, but it is hard. So many people aren't as psychotic as we are about pickleball and their DUPRs. So if their rating is moving when they're not even playing matches, they can get very confused and get frustrated. So it's again, finding this happy medium for all of the users, not just the psycho tournament players. So that does make more sense, but
it's a big balance. And I'll even speak to kind of the overall accuracy of it, right? So if you look at matches like you're describing and you have to overperform or underperform, and by the way, we talk about this all the time. I'm not kidding, right? Yeah. Just like Tito and I will just, be randomly talking on the phone on a Wednesday. Like we're just talking about this all the time because it's important and it matters. So when the beat the spread, meaning you have to overperform or underperform the expectation, that's a little bit more granular. Okay. So for example, whenever you play Ben Johns and you lose, even though it's close, it's a little bit of a thrown out data point, right? Like you barely moved. You go down 0.001, right? Because we really didn't learn anything, at least that you were better in that match from our current algorithm standards, right? Whereas it's more granular to go above or below that expected score. But what is true and what a lot of people don't want to accept is that the rating themselves end up at the same place. The journey on how you get there is different, right? You may win this match and, let's say, here's the other side. Like there's two sides of every coin, right? Did you get really close and almost beat Ben Johns? Yes, you did that one time. Did you also barely beat that 70-year-old lady that you really should have beat like 11-0? Yes. So it's like what goes up must go down, right? There's everything kind of equals out. But, you can, let's say that this player is a 4-2. They might get there like this on one journey and like this on the other, right? So we really do believe that the ratings themselves, and that's the most important thing. That rating, that number on your profile is the most important number. The building blocks to get there, the matches, how you are performing in every match, those are details. But the rating itself is what's most important and what we care about most. And so we are able to get there in a way that's transparent and in a way that aligns with the goal of the sport, which is to win.
Yeah, and I think like there's some people that will give the argument that some older, and again, we're getting into the pro, which is such a small piece of this, but for example, when I was the GM of a team and, MLP used to give out like a list of all the players that signed up to be a part of MLP, and they would almost like rank them by their DUPR. That's how they would just list it, or alphabetical or whatever, but their DUPR would always be next to. And there was always some shitty pro that had a high DUPR from a long time ago because they've been playing pickleball for 10 years, and for whatever reason, their DUPR remains extremely high. And some GMs that know nothing about pickleball will draft a higher DUPR just because their DUPR's higher, and they have no clue that player like sucks or hasn't played high matches for a long time. So there is some weird situation for like older pros that have higher DUPRs, but I think that in general, the best players have the highest DUPRs, and it's going to continue to work itself out. But I would say there are some.
Yeah. It does, absolutely. And so the problem you just described is actually not just a problem at the pro level, okay? You have this person who goes and plays one event and like jumps out, because, right, anything can happen in 4 matches, right? The algorithm is not smart enough to be like, oh, yeah, you're this after just like 3 matches. It needs time to figure that out. So somebody could like go play one tournament and get rated really high. They know they're high, right? They're like, oh, yeah, I'm a 5-0. I'm really good. Then they just sit on it, right? They don't go play again because like their ego is like boosted and they feel great. That is why we introduced the reliability score. So the reliability score, your rating actually does not move. If you're not playing, your rating's not going to move. We're not learning anything. We're not going to make it go down because we don't actually know that you're worse. You could be getting better. We don't know. But what we do know is you're not playing and you're not contributing to making your rating more reliable. And so over time, that reliability score goes down, right? And so, that a little bit of I think what we're working through right now as a company is just truly educating people how to use our product better. Right? Like we show this rating and people kind of understand how it works in the pickleball world of like, that's been around forever. This notion of I'm a 3.5, I'm a 4.0. But, really training our organizers to say, okay, we want people to play at their DUPR level. Then you put in the results and then people move up and down accordingly. That truly is how you win sandbagging is you make people play the level that they are. And then you put in the results. And if they keep winning, they're going to move up to the next category. Right.
Yeah.
But the same thing with the reliability score, we want to train directors to say, okay, push your players to be playing rating sessions during club, or they need to go and play some like smaller tournaments or whatever. We need to require a certain level of reliability for these players to play, especially when there's money, right? Like we want to really believe, like we want it to be a fair playing field, and the reliability score helps us with that. So we kind of use like 80 right now. So like to make our pro rankings, you have to have an 80% reliability. So anywhere between like 80 and then to 100 is kind of what we consider like a good reliability score.
Mm-hmm.
that you want to maintain to really know that your algorithm, or that the algorithm has enough matches on you.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So one question that a lot of people ask is basically, why isn't DUPR broken up by age?
Yeah. And what are the people, how old are the people that are asking that question?
That's a good question. I don't know. Do they tend to be younger or older? Probably older. I don't know.
They tend to be older.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is truly because of the way that pickleball has come to be, of you play at the level you want to play at. And there's a 3-0, 3-5, 4-0, 4-5. There's a 19 plus, 35 plus, 50 plus, right? But everyone still plays. There's a 5-0 level of all of them. Is the 5-0 50 plus person going to be competitive with the 5-0 19 plus person?
No, we know that.
Yeah, no, we know that, right? We understand the limitation. The mobility is different. The power is different. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's because of the things before us that there's issues that we're on the same scale.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important to us that we want to be on the same scale. And that's with a lot of things. Even our pros are on the same scale. Our sport is extremely fluid. Our sport is extremely diverse, with ages in particular. This is a fun fact. So of all of our 5 million matches, 75% of them have an age gap of 10 years or more playing in a match. So if you look at the youngest age and the oldest age, more than 10 years for 75% of our matches. Okay. So not only is our sport diverse, but they're playing together, right? Mm-hmm. Bump that up to 20 plus years. That's almost 50% of our matches. Okay. So because of that, people who are truly competing together, whether that's at the tournament level, the club level, it's important that they're on the same scale. So that's really why. And so let's say you have a 4-0 50 plus and a 4-0 20-year-old. They should be competitive. And if they're not, then one of them is actually not rated correctly. So we truly want it to define your skill level and your ability to compete.
And arguably the biggest question or the biggest feedback that I've gotten from DUPR is, why aren't gender doubles and mixed doubles broken out? Right now you just have a doubles rating and a singles rating. So has there been any thought to actually create a mixed and a gender doubles?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like I've said, we're all pickleball players at DUPR. I'm a pickleball player. I literally play pickleball every single day. Right. So I've thought about that too. And we've played with it. We've tested it. And, everything I've said so far on this podcast is how things are right now. It is not necessarily how they'll be in the future. We're going to continue to listen to feedback. We're going to continue to test, calculate, and continue to take the best steps forward for the sport. But as of right now, all of our data is in one place. I've said that multiple times about, all the ages, all the different places the matches are coming from, the club, pickleball brackets, pickleball den, everything, we're getting it in one place, and there's power in that. If you start to split it up into mixed gender, right now we actually have 4 subgroups of doubles. We have mixed doubles, we have men's doubles, we have women's doubles, and we actually have this other category of other doubles. I haven't thought of a better word for it yet. But that basically means it's not a traditional mixed doubles game. That could be something like 2 guys versus 2 girls, 3 guys and a girl, 3 girls and a guy, right? That is not really a mixed doubles match, right? That has a different flow than a mixed doubles. And so 20% of our matches are in that other category. That's a lot of data to kind of throw out, right? If we're doing a mixed and gender rating. And now we're splitting our 5 million matches into 4 different categories. And we just lose the power that comes with the mass of data by splitting it up. So, could people be different at mixed and gender? Yes, but it's based on a lot of different factors. I really like to use Colin Johns for this example. Okay. Colin Johns is definitely better at men's than he is at mixed. Yep. At least he has been in the past while playing with Ben, right?
He is.
Unknown what to come. Right. He is. But is he really better at men's, or is he really better at being a beta on the right side? Right? Like, what if we put Colin Johns on the left in men's and expected him to be an alpha? Would he be better than he is at that role in mixed?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? So it's actually like, you can break it down in multiple ways. You could say, yeah, mixed versus gender. You could also say alpha versus beta. You could say left versus right, you know? So there's actually quite a few nuances that go into why a person might have significantly different ratings for mixed and gender. And we want to provide those insights. That's good for a user to know. How am I performing in mixed doubles? How am I performing in gender doubles? And we plan to put those out there, but we want them to be insights and we want them to be subscores rather than true ratings, because we really do believe in the power of the sheer data of everything being together.
So it could be something in the future when you get more data, when you have 100 million matches instead of 5 million matches, that it could be in the future that you have a mixed and a gender and a singles. And I do hear you on the, like, I didn't even think about the nuance of like 3 men and one female. What is that game categorized?
What do you do with that? Yeah, you don't want to put that in mixed doubles. That's not pure. But then the other thing is, this question is really a tournament level question, right? It's not really a club. Like, those other matches are really kind of happening at the club level, right? It's a Thursday evening and people are playing pickleball. And it's actually really, really good for our algorithm to get those types of matches. What I want more than nothing else is, like, I want Annalie Waters playing these top men. I want to know how she is, right? Like, we have her somewhere between all those men, but we really don't have that data, right? So
somebody told me that she might be playing in men's doubles in a tournament.
That would be amazing. I want to see her in singles, though. I want to see her in singles.
In men's. I think she would. I don't think she would be as dominant, but I do think she could hold her own, like, in men's doubles with a male partner. I think she could.
Yeah, I mean, she and Ben obviously have good chemistry too, so I would love to see it.
It would be epic. Okay, I've heard a few people say that they've either heard of somebody or noticed somebody, or they themselves have created duplicate DUPR profiles. And when I wrote on Facebook, a lot of people say that people are actually deleting their profiles to delete their rating and then create another rating so they can kind of start from a different place. Is DUPR, I mean, obviously DUPR's aware of this, but, like, what do you guys do? Do you, like, scan the data? Like, how do you make sure that this rating continues to be fair and accurate with, like, duplicate or erased profiles? Yeah. So are you sure you're asking for a friend here? You haven't done this yourself? No, I haven't. I actually haven't. I'm kidding. I know that you haven't. So we are obviously very aware. So when I started this job and I really made the algorithm my baby and just really started working through it, like, my overall objective was, I want to make this the best product possible for our honest users. It's important that we prioritize them, because those are the people who are using our product in the honest way. But it has become more and more important that we also look at the people who are trying to commit fraud and the people who are cheating, because it affects those honest users, right? Yeah. It's really frustrating for them. They're doing it the right way. They're going through the right steps. They are earning their rating. They are tracking their true progress through their DUPR rating. And there's other people who are fabricating it, and it's not fair, right? Yeah. So, we've this past year, we've taken a lot of steps. We have a committee that is dedicated to fair play. We have the person that leads it, we call the DUPR police. And he does a great job looking through everything and keeping people honest. And we have a set of community guidelines. If you go to your profile and go to your settings, you can scroll down and see community guidelines. You can read them. And it says, you can only have one profile and you cannot manipulate your rating in any way. And if you do these things, then we will restrict or ban you from our platform. And we have done that, unfortunately. So I like to say, it's great that people care so much about their rating, and people care so much about the way that they're perceived in the pickleball world, and their DUPR rating is a big part of that. And for that, we're so thankful, and we don't take that for granted, and we want to continue to make that as good of an experience as we can. Mm-hmm. But people go through wild measures for this DUPR rating. Let me tell you, So I know I've seen some wild things. I can only imagine, number one. Number two, I believe your DUPR is right under 5.0. What's your DUPR? I don't really like to talk about it.
So it's a 4995. So you can know that even though I technically have the power to make my rating be whatever I want it to be and whatever you want yours to be, I technically can do it. But you'll know that I haven't done that because why would I make myself a 4995?
That is extremely painful. I'm trying to look up my DUPR right now, but the last I checked, it was right above. It's a 5005, and I'm like scared to play a tournament.
Yeah, you can't. You gotta win. You better win. You better go out there and win. So I'll tell you actually, so like my last tournament was like playing in college. And the thing about college is like there's still a lot of varying levels. Mm-hmm. And so it's like if you have one bad loss, it's like, oh, there you go. You used to be a 5-0, but you lost this match. You're not a 5-0 anymore. And I was like, honestly, that's true because I should not have lost that match. I'm not a 5-0 anymore. And I need to earn that back. So yeah, no, it looks like we should go play a match. I think that we'd be
super. I thought the same
even.
thing. I actually had this is my little tiff of the day that I'll give about the DUPR, and it's not even DUPR specific, but I was in India and I was playing with Sophia Suing, who's like she's going to be an amazing pro. I think this is her coming out year in 2025. She played tennis at Miami and was playing pro. She left after a year to go play pro, and she's been playing pro ever since. But anyway, incredible pickleball player. Is going to get even better in doubles. Right now is amazing in singles. I was playing with her in doubles, and my paddle delaminated, and because I haven't played a tournament since I think it was May this past year, it was over 7 months, I thought I just couldn't dink. I thought maybe my paddle was delaminated, but I just opened it up a day and a half prior. It was the mod, and I'm sitting there playing with. I could not hit a dink, and like if people that know my game know that I just have I have a softer game. Anyway, yeah. The main story of this is we played a women's doubles match that we shouldn't have lost. I was playing with that D-line paddle where I couldn't hit anything. Balls were spraying everywhere, and it says we lost 11-0. Now I know for a damn in my mind, I actually should ask Sophia, but I am 99% sure we didn't lose 11-0. But we're in freaking India. Who the hell knows who was recording these scores?
Nobody
They put 11-0, and my DUPR goes down massively from that one freaking game.
Yeah.
And that was the other question that I was going to ask is, what's the min and the max? So the minimum when you lose to a very good team, the minimum you can go down is 0.001, 2 zeros before the 1.
I mean, to be honest, you're always going to move, but that could be so small. Like if Ben Johns beat me right now, he would not even see it. It would be 0.000. There's technically something there are more, decimal points back there, but on the app, you would only see it. So there's really not a minimum. There's for people who are playing a lot, there's also, so let me get into this. So this is actually the change that we are doing next. Mm-hmm. Our next algorithm update is coming soon. At the start of this year. So what we have noticed is there's a legitimate issue where our really active players play a lot and they kind of get stuck, right? Yeah. The way that it's supposed to work is you kind of converge, right? And it might look a little bit like this, but you're converging over time to some level. Well, as we know, your level is not the same. Most of us keep improving, which is why we love the sport, why we're addicted to the sport, why we're addicted to DUPR, right? You get to track your progress. We don't want people to be leveling out when they really are improving. And so what we're going to do is we're really kind of putting in a minimum movement that is allowed for our active players so that we can allow them to continue to move even when they're playing all the time, because we want to reward their current progress. So, and even, basically we decide how much should you move total from this match. Okay. Let's say it's this amount. And then we shift this above and below 0 based on the expectation of the match. It's 50-50. It's going to be right in the middle. If you should win, you're going to have more that you actually could go down with the match. If you're supposed to lose, you have more that you could go up. Okay. This amount, my fingers, the distance between them is actually what we're changing. We're just going to say, okay, here's what over time, it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But what we're going to say now is once you get to a certain point, we're actually not going to let it be any smaller than this because we want you to continue to move with every match. We want you to believe that this match is going to have an impact on your rating. And if you have a big win, we don't want to fully change your rating because it's just one big win, but we want you to reap the rewards of that.
I think people will be happy with you for that. They might send you little gifts for that, Sarah.
Maybe.
No, that's awesome, though. I love that. And what's the difference between a rec game rating and a tournament? I think tournaments are weighted heavier, but what is the difference?
Yeah, so, with things like that, it's really not even to our best interest to share the values because, like I've mentioned so many times, we're constantly iterating on everything. Always to improve accuracy, always to improve user experience, but we might change things. And what I've learned is people remember things, right? People still say things from the algorithm of like January 2022, right? They're like, oh, this respond very confidently on Facebook. Oh, this is how it works. Like, I know this is how it works. So it's best to keep things. We want to be transparent. We want people to understand. You should go on the court understanding how a match is going to affect your rating. We also make sure that everything's aligning with the goal of the match. Your goal is to win. It's definitely transparent in that way. But we don't necessarily want to share the exact values, right? We got to keep a little bit of secret sauce, but we really could change those values. And that's the real reason why we don't want to change. But what I will say is that we have something called DUPR Genie. I don't know if you've experimented ever with DUPR Genie. So
you can
genie.dupr.com.
You can put in basically scores of random people. Like if I would want to play Anna Bright and Ben Johns versus me and Colin Johns, and I put in random scores, it can spit out what would happen to my DUPR. Essentially, would it increase or decrease?
Exactly, and it shows you how much you would increase or decrease. And so that's actually, if you really are curious to know kind of more of the numbers and like how things all fit together, I just encourage you to go and kind of experiment there. Because then you can kind of see what are the differences between rec and tournament. And, I'll even be honest with you there, like it might depend a little bit based on the match. Yeah. So, there's so many factors to consider that, it's complicated. It's, you can get in there and if you spend an hour, you could probably figure out a lot of things, but there's definitely some nuances that, lots of edge cases in pickleball that we have to account for sure.
Well, there's no one else better than you to be doing this because I truly believe you love pickleball. What I think is so interesting that I didn't mention, every single person that works in pickleball basically plays pickleball and loves it. There's so many people Tito loves it, plays it all the time. Yeah. Dylan Seeger, who's the pro player liaison, I think, for UPA. You just played with Lee Waters in the Daytona tournament. I was like, damn, I didn't know he was that good. So many people are playing, and I love that. But you are just such a good person to be at the forefront of this algorithm because you love it, you understand it, you play at a high level, you've kind of built yourself with this sport from the ground up. You played in so many different tournaments. You played at the rec level. You played at the collegiate level. Now you're playing at the pro level. So it's awesome to have you leading the charge. The one question I wanted to ask was just what is the most important problem to solve for DUPR right now?
Yeah, I think in an overall, I've stated this, the overall problem in the pickleball world that we're trying to solve for is allowing players to play at their level. Right. And just eliminating the frustrations that come along with people not playing at their level, the sandbagging and just not fair, not fun, all of that, and really trying to make it competitive for everyone. So that's our problem statement every day. And my team is working on improving the algorithm. Our club's team is working on improving partnerships so we can continue to get more data, so we can continue to educate people better on how to use our product, educate directors on how to use our product. And just continue to create as fair of a playing field as we can for everyone. So I think, I
was just going to say, Steve Kuhn said it best. He said, Steve Kuhn's the founder of DUPR. Yes. And he said that there's one person that would hate pickleball, or there's only one type of person that would hate pickleball, and that's the person that goes to the court and doesn't play with people around their level. If you go there and you're tremendously better than everyone on the court, you're having a shitty time. If you're on the court and you're the worst player by a lot on the court, you're having a terrible time. And so what DUPR does is it enables people to play at their level with people around their level to have fair and fun and exciting games. And if you're a DUPR club out there and you're not understanding why DUPR could be really helpful, it's because you actually don't have to be the bad guy. You don't have to be the one saying, you're a 4-0 and you're a 3-5, because Susie definitely thinks she's a 4-0 and you're calling her a 3-5. You let DUPR be the bad guy, play DUPR games, play DUPR matches. And then you have something else that's telling your players, your members at your club, where they are in their level and who they should be playing with to have fun and fair games. So I think that's something that I would do if I was a club. I'd get DUPR involved immediately. And Pod Play, I do want to mention, is doing a fantastic job of this. They have video replay systems where you can now hold DUPR competition matches. So everyone on the court puts their DUPR in, and you can put it in so it's a DUPR match. And then all of that data can get fed right into your DUPR, and your DUPR changes automatically, like literally right on the spot, which is so cool. But it's very helpful, again, for clubs, for members, for everyone, so they can play better games with people that are around their level.
100%. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to build these partnerships with people like Podplay who are doing other really cool things in the sport. We cannot do every cool thing. We got to like really channel in on our one cool thing and build these important partnerships with other people who are doing cool things. So it's really fun to get to do that and get to just be in the center of the sport. We do believe that we're very important and we take it very seriously. So it's pretty fun to be here.
Awesome. Okay. Last couple ones. Anything next on the horizon for DUPR? You said that in January, you guys are going to be coming out with an algo update. Anything else that you're looking forward to for DUPR?
Yeah, so we have that. And I will say, I don't think I mentioned this, but we're going to change the way that we do rally scoring matches. We understand, as you understand, and our your viewers understand, that rally scoring matches are closer, right? The other team's getting to score whenever you're serving. So it's just going to be closer. And we can like model that really is true. And so we're going to reward it differently too. If you win like 21-15 or 21-13 in rally, that was really dominant, right? You might have won like the same percentage as a traditional score match, but like that was really dominant. So we're going to reward you accordingly. So that's also going to be included in this algorithm update. And then, just things in the future, like I talked about, we want to provide further analytics. Like we want to do the mixed and gender sub scores, and we want to provide, what's your percentage in deciding games, right? Or, how many close wins or how many upsets do you have? Like there's so many things that we can continue to do to just provide interesting data for our users and for our clubs, head-to-head comparisons, things like that. So those are some things in our future.
Absolutely love it. And Sarah Carpenter, the mathlete, the lead data scientist at DUPR, what's next for you? Anything that you're looking forward to, say, next couple years?
Yeah, so I really got to finish this degree, and then I want to stay with DUPR as long as they'll have me, as long as they'll continue to let me help them with their mission. And I want to keep playing pickleball. Like I used to be the type of person that like would do like hobby jump, and like go all in. And then I went all in on pickleball, and it has literally not changed. It's my entire personality. When I go home, it is what it is. Like I fully embraced it. So I hope to keep playing and just building connections. Like it's so fun to get to meet you. And, it's really truly like the way that the algorithm works too. Now I have the connection with you. Well, that's not just a connection with you. That's a connection with so many other people in the pickleball world. So it's just a really, really special place to get to be in. And I feel lucky every day to get to be here. So.
You are amazing. You are incredible. I'm so glad that I got to meet you. It was amazing how that all happened over Instagram. Then I saw you at Worlds when you were crushing it. And, now here on this podcast, I'm so happy that you were able to come on. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Last but not least, you have to do...
No. I'm nervous.
You should be. Okay. You have to say, talk pickle to me in the sexiest, I was going to say dirtiest, but you're a nerd. Sexiest
so
way
nerdiest.
possible.
Nerdiest
No, sexiest. Like when somebody does a sick math problem in front of you, like, I don't know, someone does like a hot Ernie next to you, you're going to be like, talk pickle to me.
Okay, so then if I say this, then you have to say what's your DUPR in the sexiest voice possible. How about that?
I'm down.
All right, here we go. All right, talk pickle to me. How was that?
Amazing. I love it.
All right, your turn.
So much.
Your turn.
What's your DUPR? I like even better. How big is your DUPR?
That's even better. So much better. That's
What's
amazing.
the size of your DUPR?
Huge.
I could keep going on. I could keep going on. No, that was amazing. Thank you again so much, Sarah. I think so many people are going to get amazing insight into you, which is incredible. Also, DUPR, how amazing DUPR's DUPR has built the sport, like, along with so many other things, but I really think DUPR's helped so many people have more games, fair games, fun games, and it's only going to continue. So thank you, DUPR. Thank you, Tito. Thank you, Steve Kuhn, everyone that's come before, Jill, and everybody that's built this for all of us to use. It's been amazing. And thank you all for tuning in to Talk Pickle to Me. Please make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you're following us on Instagram at Talk Pickle to Me. We'll see you next time. Pickleball Chick out.